No, it's not a sizing morning this morning. That'll be tomorrow, eh? We have to do some sizing this weekend, but that'll be tomorrow morning, I think. Anthony, paper is out upstairs. Yes, thank you. 3 people's paper came out today, and actually one of them is going to have to go back in. Paper came out from Rei-chan, from Suga-san, and from Ishikawa-san. And just before this started the stream, an email came in from Rei-chan. She doesn't feel so good today, so she says she won't be coming in. So once the stream is over, I have to get back upstairs and put her paper back in the freezer. A bunch of people off. I know Kawai-san's off for the flu. This is Rei-chan going down. Suga-san was down for a few days last week. That's what you get, January, February. I think we're good to go. Okay, where are we? Carving on this gets Kimono. Yeah, going to get any closer? I'm not right sure. Okay. So good morning, gang. How are you? All fine here. Let's get to it. Have a quiet day today. Today it's Saturday here. Cameron won't be here. He's home for the weekend. Of course, he's always off. Although I see his email box has a bunch of stuff in it, so I'll have to get to his desk today. He's a happy guy yesterday. I mentioned that we got some new computers set up here. Kira-san is going to be working on flea market scanning, and Cameron is going to be working on the next YouTube video, background work for me for next YouTube video. So we took our newest computer upstairs, and so what now Cameron and Kira-san, they have a brand new huge iMac up there. And Cameron spent yesterday learning about Final Cut Pro. We're switching from video editing from iMovie to FCP, and he spent the day yesterday learning the interface and stuff like that. So one of the upcoming videos, he's been capturing shots of Suga-san doing the printing on the latest Ukiyo Heroes print, the one called Two Souls Entwined. So that'll be part of the content, the next video. I think he's doing the filming for it, and probably I'll come in and do the narration for it. I'm not quite sure. We'll see. We'll have a look. And then he'll be fighting with Kira-san for use of that computer for scanning for the flea market. different footsteps, wrong way. Question, I see my name in lights here. Judging from old prints, have hairs always been carved in a multi-stage approach? I'm not quite sure what you're asking. The way I've described hair cutting in the way that I watched Ito-san do it, that sort of thing that I've described as a 5-stage process. That's really just my own words doing that. When we look at old prints, there's no way to tell how the guy moved the knife. I suspect there's probably lots of different ways to get the same result, so I'm not sure what to say. I don't think there's any one specific way to do it, The hairs on these little boys that I'm about to carve in a couple of days, when I get to these hairs, this isn't going to be matching exactly that sort of classical approach I showed you, the 5 steps to complete hair carving. These are really, really small. And just to interrupt you, probably cutting these hairs will be a simple matter. It'll be simply cutting away the outside stuff we don't need, and each hair is just going to be a V. Chop, 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 chop. Just take a V. They're very small. Look at the scale here. I mean, all this stuff's going to go within my fingernail. So this is not going to be a question of each of these long hairs sliced out, rolled over from the top, rolled over from the top. They're simply too small. So, I'm not sure what I can say. Each job just has its own requirements. This hair, the difficult part about these is the physical scale. They're difficult to see because they're small. But the actual cutting is straight simple. They're just V's. Just a bunch of V's side by side by side by side by side. Scaling up a bit when I did the face for the woman with the octopus. That was maybe double the size of this, so there you've got a chance to shape each hair individually rather than just cut the V's in a row. So I'm not quite sure what you're asking, but hair cutting is just whatever. You do what you have to do to get that particular shape that you need in the finished print. The mouth here is going to be much harder than the hair. The mouth and the eyes. Is the focus moving as my hands go in there? Is that what's happening? I don't understand what this is. It's a bit of sort of two lines that seem to overlap here. I'm not quite sure what's going on. He's not sure either. Not clear what these are. The original here was done at such small scale, you can't quite trust some of the carving. They're really, really good at what they do, but there's places where there's chips and pops along here because it was such small scale. So here you can see this guy cutting in here, he popped out here. There's lots of those along here. Another one here, he cut in here, he popped out. Such small scale work, incredible. Quiet stream today, nah? we found the original. Good, good. Thank you. I'll have a look at it later on. The wood is hard in this corner, some hard spots. This is not this black brown part here. So gotta be careful. Playing this stream on the company television. You don't work in a bar. You can see this stream in a sports bar. Those giant TV screens, people drinking, watching the game, placing bets. Is this the next big thing? Should be fun the next few days. We're going to try some experimenting. I got a message from DHL in my email last night. There's a package being delivered next couple of days. It's an adapter for our camera to hopefully connect the camera connect our DSLR to the microscope directly. So we're going to try it. We'll see. As I mentioned the other day, no promises, because it's I don't know if we've got the right gear for it. But we're going to try over the next week or so to arrange a microscope view where you can look inside the microscope with me. We have a trinaural microscope. Not this one that I'm using, but we have another one. We have a trinaural microscope. We're going to see if we can work out how to get a microscope view. We're not going to change the entire system. We're going to keep the current camera watching my fingers, but we'll probably add in the bottom left corner over here a view that looks down through the scope. We'll see. No idea. We're just going to experiment with it and see what I can bring up. And maybe it's something we'll just use for some special occasion when I'm doing like hair carving or something like that. We'll see. don't know why they did that. My guess is the original designer, maybe. It's a bit of a brush mistake, my guess. Normally these lines, you know, they're just a single brush stroke that sweeps around. You can easily see how the guy drew it. Brush, sweep, sweep, dip the brush, sweep, sweep, sweep. When he came to this part between the foot, this stroke is broken as a piece here, halfway, and then it overlaps and comes down. It's kind of attractive. My guess is that instead of just making a single sweep all along, he just had a little glitch, or his brush ran out of pigment or something. Or another possibility is that when the carver was carving it, there might have been a single brush stroke here, but when the carver was carving it, he popped something off, and instead of trying to go back and repair the block, he just cut around it and made a couple of extra brush strokes. No idea. Anyway, it's quite attractive. The two strokes overlap each other like this. That's for today. What is it? Let's have a look. For 126 for today. 230, group of 2. Okay. Emily-san, all right. We'll see you at 2:30, Emily-san. Yes. Sorry to be so quiet here today, just it's a chance to get some work done, you know. I don't see so many questions. My thoughts on Tamawashi? I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't follow that. I don't follow the sumo. I'm sorry. You know, not any hostility towards it. Just whatever. It's a world I don't know and don't understand, and it's not my kind of stuff. You know. So. There's lots and lots of interesting backstories on the sumo these years, especially one that sort of relates to my own work, you know, the number of foreigners who are here doing it, and the way that Japanese society relates to them, you know. There's clearly two thoughts about that, you know. There are people who are really quite sad that, quote, all, unquote, the top sumo people these days are foreigners, you know. But they have to recognize that it's because young Japanese people aren't doing it. So you know, it's not that the foreigners are crowding out the Japanese, it's that young Japanese are not taking it up. So I guess it's a little bit similar in that sense to our own field here. If no one's going to make good ukiyo-e, you know, Jed and I can have a go at it, you know. So. But I wouldn't want to be involved in a field that was as so hidebound and traditional as that is, you know. This is the way it's always been done. Oh God, there's too much of that. So, it's come alive too much. I can't see. Some cuts are so shallow, it makes me wonder how much effort has been put into making the board's carving surface true. The board is absolutely perfectly mirror flat before we start. Absolutely. There's no other way around that. All of our wood absolutely starts as a perfectly flat mirror smooth surface. These days we're using a laminate. We're using plywood inside. This is a boxwood top. That's some tape you see on the side. Boxwood top and this plywood inside to avoid the thing bending and warping as we're printing. Our boards have to be flat, flat, flat. Is my carving different from the old Japanese carvers? Yes. Yes and no. From the viewpoint of you guys watching it, it's the same kind of stuff. I'm doing the same job on the same wood with the same tools, getting the same result as the older carvers. Not that there are many older carvers left, but whatever. But there are some differences in what I do. I'm left-handed for one, and that's quite a different approach. And second is I'm self-taught. Someone just went upstairs, must be super something. So I don't carve, the way I dip the knife into the wood isn't the same as the absolute old-fashioned classical technique. We've talked about this many, many times on the street. We need to make a video together with Asuka Sensei, the older guy who's still working here in Tokyo. Older guy, my age, give me a break. And he and I need to make a video together showing the difference, what the classical technique looks like and how it differs from what I do here. But from a functional point of view, what I'm doing is the same as what the other guys did. The same tools, the same knives, cutting the same type of lines, resulting in pretty much the same wood block for the same purpose. So in all essentials, the job you see me doing here is pretty much how it was done in the old days. There are people experimenting with lasers and CNC machines and 3D printing. Lots of ways to make wood blocks, I guess. For us, I like the exercise of the skill. Of course, this could be done by a machine. Who cares? Have I ever seen a block that made you think, how did they do that? Well, yes and no. I know I've got some blocks. There's one just right over there on the shelf near I am that was carved, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 years ago by, top quality carver without the use of this kind of a tool. He would have had maybe a desk lens, I don't know, it's hard to say. A block that is really, really, really stupendously finely detailed. So in that sense, we look about, how did they do that? And well, we know how they did it. They just looked really closely and worked really well. And a man with lots of experience who could carve very small lines. So it's not a mystery, but it is an object of, wow, crap, look at that, incredible. So do I, what can I say? There's a lot of incredible, astonishing work done in the old days when this was the main method of printing, when this was the main printing business for a massive society. Then yeah, a lot of those guys were really, really good. A lot of them were crap. It was a huge pyramid of skills at different levels. But given the vast size of that pyramid and the vast amount of work that was published during the old days, then there's X% of it at the very top, which is stupendously, incredibly, wonderfully produced. And looking at those prints, yeah, it's, oh my God, how did they do that? We know how they did it, just it's a question of spending enough hours and having enough resources and enough high quality materials. The whole, we've talked about it before, the whole supply chain in place. And given all those things, we can understand how they did it. And because too many of those things are no longer here, the supply chain for beautifully high quality materials, the lifestyle that would have one guy just do that from all his life since he was like 12 years old up to my age or something. So we know how it happened, but it just doesn't replicate so easily. I'm scratching at the surface of what's possible. Given those two handicaps, the lack of the supply chain and the distraction by being involved in many, many different jobs instead of just being a carver, given those two handicaps, we're doing okay here. And some of the work I've done, people look at it and think, oh my God, how did he do that? It's the same thing. Spend enough time and focus on something. Focus being the important point, not just time. It's not just your 10,000 hours, it's 10,000 focused hours. And given that, anybody can do this. Again, this came up before, the key to what we've done here is simply stubbornness. The new exhibition space we're building, up on the second floor where our shop used to be. We're building a little gallery / museum / reading room / exhibition space with it. And maybe the first exhibition might go up in April the 1st. That's our semi-target. And a lot of the things we're going to exhibit there, maybe most, all, I don't know, whatever. A lot of the things we're going to exhibit there are going to be prints that incite that same feeling. Oh my God, how did they do that? Why did they do that? Look at that, This is the big attractive part of all this for me, looking at some of the old stuff and saying, Jesus. And I guess for me it's selfish because I want to think, how could I do that? Or can I do this? Or am I going to be able to do this? Whatever. It comes back to a fairly selfish motivation for me. And that's part of my character, clearly a good or bad part of my character. Whenever I see that sort of stuff, I have right away feel, oh my God, I've got to try that for myself, I don't seem to be able to sit back and just enjoy it in a more passive sense. I've got to be actively competing. Oh my God, I've got to do that. Can I do it better? And this is not always a good thing. So yeah, the exhibitions we're going to be holding are going to really, hopefully, incite that feeling in people's minds. Oh my God, how did they do that? I've already got the first 10 objects from our collection chosen for the first exhibition. Certainly getting ahead of myself. The exhibitions in our new space, they're going to be double. They're going to be analog, real-life exhibitions, but they're also going to be totally analog, digitized. We're going to scan high resolution all the objects. We're going to write a sort of report, not a report, what's the word? A description, you know, the kind of thing you would read in a gallery. It'll all be online. There'll be an accompanying video. I'm going to narrate the explanation for each one. And there's no better example, if you want to understand what kind of exhibitions these are going to be and what kind of approach we're going to take, the best thing to do is inspect. I made a small little sample of one of these things years ago. I called it David's Choice. It's a little ebook that I made, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 years ago, I don't know. I made it at the same time that I produced my Your First Print ebook. It was called David's Choice, and it's an example of exactly the kind of exhibition that we're going to have here. Exactly the kind of thing we're going to talk about, how we're going to show the prints, how we're going to present them. So if you're curious about what our little gallery is going to be like, there's no better way to learn about it than to look at that little David's Choice ebook that I made, because that's, in a nutshell, that's what we're going to be doing. Was carving a family business passed from father to son? No. Well, yes, no. There were people who did it because their dad did it, of course, absolutely. But it wasn't, carving is not a business in that you have an infrastructure and a shop and machinery in the background, and when somebody dies, somebody else, inherits the whole thing. It's got to keep going. Carving is not that kind of business. Carving is a single skill with one hand, with a couple of very simple tools that sits on a bench. That's all. There's no infrastructure. So there were workshops that had history, but the people who, a guy like me would have apprentices or whatever, or people doing simpler work in the shop. It may have been his son involved in it. It may have been somebody who's not his son. It didn't matter. So it wasn't a thing that was passed down. In some cases, there were names passed down. In the artists, they would have Hiroshige 1, Hiroshige 2, stuff like this. Names got passed down and whatever. And we have, an example, when I came here, there was a guy carving called Okura Hambe. He was the main carver for the Adachi Company in the 1970s, 80s, 60s, 70s, 80s. And it's different guys. The guy I first saw, he would have been Okura Hambe, I forget the numbers, maybe he was number 8. And then when he died, the next guy who was a workshop took the same name, called himself number 9. I forget the numbers here, I'm sorry, I don't exactly. At the moment, there's nobody using that name because the last guy who was in line, he was younger than me. He's about 50 or something now. He quit and gave up and went to be a plumber because that was in the depths, the 1990s or so, when the bottom fell out of all this business and nobody got prints. So he just quit, went off to do plumbing. So that name and that lineage is gone now. But carving for the most part, was a single guy's skill. They worked in families and in groups, but it wasn't a family business to be inherited. Like paper making is different. There's a huge infrastructure. You've got the workshop, the buildings, the screens, the nets, the supply going in and out. Papermaking is absolutely a family business in terms of an extended family business. And when you're born into it, you just do it bang, 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 bang. So that's a bit different because there's a huge infrastructure involved. But carving didn't have an infrastructure. Really hard. There's a knot here. This is like a piece of stone inside the wood. So it's quite possible I'm going to lose the tip of my knife here. I'm going to try and be careful. All the wood surrounding that knot is hard. What time is it today? It's 9:17. Oops, we're almost at the end. I might get this corner finished then. What is it happening? Today's Saturday. I know the staff, we're short-staffed today. Kawai-san called in sick. He's been off for the past few days. So today will just be two of us for a weekend. This is really short-staffed. Me and Koizumi-san. So I'll be doing all the parties. And we may have a lineup, you know, whatever. We're doing the parties. People come to the counter. They want to buy prints. We have to run back and forth. So we'll see. It may be a tough day. Hopefully, because this is January, it won't be too crowded. But, okay, here's where she may break. Let's see. So far, so good. Delivery guy. Domo, ohayou gozaimasu. Hai. どこでもいいんですが、はい、大丈夫です。はい。はい、ありがとうございます。はい、はい、どうも、いつもどうも。はい、そうです。What have we got here? I haven't any idea what this is. Waremono Chui, breakable, be careful. From Yamagata Prefecture. Oh, ha 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 ha, yes, 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 yes. Yes. Prints, woodblock prints. Takamizawa, but a box that size? My God, he's overpacked it. It's auction goods on a woodblock prints. I know. No, it's not Yamagata Senbei crackers. It's a woodblock prints from the Takamizawa Corporation. They published a very popular set of prints through the quote 60s, 70s, maybe not into the 80s. I don't think. It might have been into the 80s. I don't know. They did a very popular series of prints. They're the Tanzaku size. If you imagine a sheet of paper about the size of the screen you're looking at here, cut in maybe 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you've got vertical strips. And they did a very popular series of Tanzaku size prints based on Hiroshige nature images. And they must have been hugely popular. They sold them as subscriptions through those years. People would buy the first package, which was the box and frame and one print, and then either 2 prints a month or 1 print a month, whatever came after that, bang, bang, bang. And people paid through a post office payment form. And they must have sold tens of thousands of those sets, because they come up now on Yahoo Auctions this week. This one was here 2 days ago. I got it. Again, the prices are going up, because so many people are bidding on these things these days. So the prices are just steadily climbing. But the same set of 24 prints is on auctions 3 times this week. That's how popular they were. They just come up all the time. Kids are cleaning up their house. Granddad died. They're cleaning up the house. What's this? Put it in Yahoo Auction, and away it goes. And there's a bit of a conundrum for us. We've talked about this before. I know when we buy these sets of prints, should we keep them as sets, or do we, scatter them as single prints? Here's the knot. Look at this. Am I going to break this thing or not? Who knows? And the question, we'd never break up a book or something, but we don't like to break up sets. But it's a moot point for us most of the time. Because through those years, the 60s, 70s, 80s, the packaging materials they used were really poor. And although the concept was nice, you get a frame and a package of 24 prints, and you change it out and put them in the frame one at a time and rotate. In real life, that's not what happened. Nobody rotated. They put one in the frame, put it in the wall, the box stayed there. Maybe once they change it, maybe once again they change it, and then that's it. They never change it. So most of the prints just sat unopened, still in their sealed stuff, getting foxed and moldy. And then when somebody decides to sell the package, he doesn't know how to put it back together, so the frame is missing and one print is missing. So we've got a broken set. It's 11 out of 12 or 23 out of 24, whatever. So we've got a package with a few prints that are moldy, a couple of prints missing. It doesn't make any sense to try and keep it as a unified whole. So in that case, we separate the prints, put them in individual packaging, and they are free to have a life of their own. Somebody coming in a shop here would like that particular design, they've got it, and away it goes. So we're not breaking up anything that should be preserved historically or whatever. And we ourselves, we've got complete sets of these things in our own collection to be able to show people how they were actually produced and sold in the old time. So this one too, my first job when I crack it later this afternoon, we'll be busy this morning, but when I crack it later this afternoon, the first job for me will be to figure out, is this an item that should be preserved as it is, or is there mold, missing prints, whatever inside it that will let me say just break it up. We've got a lot of print sets here that we haven't had a chance to put into the flea market because they just take so much time and trouble to show. You've got to take a photograph of all the prints in the set. You've got to make sure it's all clean. And now that Kira-san is going to be here working a couple of days a week on this, we are going to have a bunch more print sets available in the flea market itself. There's one, you saw me do an unboxing for it. It's sitting over there across the room, an Utamoto set of 24 beautiful, beautiful woman prints, Bijinga. And it needs to go in the flea market as a whole complete set, but we just haven't had the time to do it. So. Here we are, getting rid of this stone bit by bit. There we go, bing, gone. tons of sets waiting to go into the flea market. Sets of Tokaido prints, sets of Fuji 36 views, all kinds of. We'll just finish this cord and then shut her down here. We're at nearly 9:30. I've got to get up and get the shop ready. So let's just try and finish these last two curves here. And what's the schedule for the stream? Today's Saturday. Tomorrow is Sunday, and I should be doing sizing sometime, I think, on Sunday or Monday, because the printers have put up notes on the DOSA calendar. They need paper early, middle next week. So I've got to do another sizing batch at the very latest Monday. It could be Sunday. But I've got a problem in doing that because that's upstairs and it runs over past 10 o'clock when I do that. And if we've got staff booked in sick for the shop tomorrow, it's only me and Nakamura-san it looks like tomorrow. So I don't think I'll be able to do sizing because I can't finish it in time for the shop opening. Unless maybe I start early at 7 o'clock or something. I don't know. So I'm not quite sure what I'll be doing tomorrow. It might be more of this carving. It might be sizing. And it might be actually tracing work because there's something else for this print. You see these faces here, the eyes and mouth and hair. I carved the kimono lines just from a print out of the original print. And I was thinking I could do the whole thing. But now that I've come this far, I realize that that's probably not true. There's not enough detail here on this printout to let me see all the hair and eyes and noses and stuff. So I think before I can carve these two boys' faces, I'm going to have to go back to the original copy, trace the faces onto a separate sheet of paper and paste it down again here, because I can't see the lines of the mouth or the inside of the eyes. So that's another job that perhaps I'll be doing tomorrow. I'll be back on the iPad, tracing. So who knows? It'll be one of those things tomorrow, or it'll be something else. Who knows? Okay, there we are. Okay, I think that's it for this morning. It's been a really, really quiet stream. I got a lot done actually, though, too. I think basically now the kimonos are all done. The kimono was finished on this guy. It's up here, it's done. The bucket is done. The ladle is done. The suzuri is done. What's left is the actual human beings, legs and fingers and stuff. I think I can carve this from this master copy, but as I said, to do the faces, I'm going to need another tracing. So we'll see how it goes from here. Or maybe what I would do then next is I'll clear around the outside, doing some noise, so that we're ready for the final face carving on a complete block. Who knows? Anyway, same time, same station, tomorrow morning, Sunday, Japan time, 8 o'clock. I'm not sure what we'll be doing tomorrow. One last question here. I'm coming to Japan in early February. How often are the print party spots open? In February, it's Death Valley here. You should have no problem. Get on the website, you can see it right now. There's 3 spots open most days, 4 spots open some days, and we are really low in customers now. If you wait till March, April, May, book now or you won't get a spot. And the many days are already sold out for April. But February, it's really, really, really open. Okay, guys, I'm out of here. Thank you very much for watching. As I said, it's been a quiet stream. It's okay. I did get some work done. Thanks again for your support and for enjoying this. And I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, here's Koizumi-san. Just in time. Just wrapping up. 9:30. Bye-bye, guys. Thanks again. Away we go. Where's the button? Stop streaming.